All right. Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here with all of you guys who are, whether you're a first time or you've done multiple case studies or you're new in the industry or you're a seasoned esthetician. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Jennalee Dahlen. I own Yoso Wellness Spa in Santa Cruz, California, and I've been in business for 13 years. I've been in business. I've been an esthetician longer than that. And I have over 13 employees. We do full wellness focus here, but my passion is skin. And I'm here today to support all of you guys as a multi-year Skin Games competitor. I've received won over 15 awards at the Skin Games through different categories between first, second, or third place. And this past year, I was so honored with all of the dedication and continuous hard work that so many of you are also putting in to receive Esthetician of the Year. So I'm really excited to work with you guys today to help direct, guide, support you more in how to really choose a winning case study client and how to create that winning case study. So that being said, I'm going to go into open up a little presentation and I'll just be talking through it, but it's something where you're welcome to screenshot it. I can send it out that Taylor can share later with just some of the tips that I'll elaborate a little more on, but also that will be there for you. And please feel free to,
Wow.
oh, if you guys can go on mute, if you're not on mute, um, feel free to put in any questions you have in the chat box, and we can also do raise hands after to continue answering more questions. So, all right, so let me get in here to share. Oh, that's not what you needed to see. What do you guys see right now? There we go. Okay. Could you guys see that, or are you seeing other documents? Oh,
Can see it.
I see it.
okay, cool. It was showing me like some of my employee manuals. I was like, you don't need that. It's not over here. Okay. So I just inhaled my hair. So these are the client selection secrets, how to choose a case study that wins with myself, Jennalee Dahlen, the esthetician of the year for 2024 and 2025. So, oh, it's not letting me change the page. Oh gosh. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we'll start with the power of choosing well. So this is really when it comes down to it, and again, like I said a moment ago, this is really for any of you who this is your very first time. Maybe you're a brand new esthetician. Maybe you've been doing aesthetics for 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's really for anyone who wants to elevate what they're doing in their case studies and that work, because we can all have, there's always that we're always growing, learning, and how to make it even more extraordinary for our clients and the work that you're going to do with these case studies that you're going to be presenting. Because what you learn here and how you approach your case studies is also what you can transform and take into your treatment room for how you work with your clients for larger change for you as an esthetician and your clients' results. So this topic matters because this client selection is the foundation of your winning case study. And it's really about, well, I wanted to remind you, and I have it on here, the clients that you choose will determine how strong your protocol, your photos, your narrative, and your outcomes truly are. And so what does all of that mean? So let's dive into that. So what makes a case study client the one? So, and I'll read this, but I'll elaborate more on some of this here too. So choose a fresh client. And what does that mean? When I say that, I hope for you to try to pick a client that you have never worked with before, someone who's brand new for your hands to go on, because you're going to have clients of yours that you've been working with for a really long time. Maybe they're newer but current clients, but you really want to have a blank slate person when you're doing this because that is going to create a different type of result. And it's easy and more comfortable sometimes to be like, well, I've got this client that I've been working with that I love, and she's going to be all on board, and I've been telling her about what I want to do. But you've already been working with her, and we really, with the case studies, yes, like results are important to be able to see, but you also, there's so many other parts that go into that for how you're going to be transitioning what the change and the shifts are that you're achieving and how you speak to that and how you write about it in your case study. So you really want a clean baseline for high potential and visible transformation, not just from the photos, but from your approach and your protocol too. And so, with what I was just sharing a moment ago, is that, when you go into this, you want to be able to say in your case study, this person, well, you can say, I've been working with them. This is what we've been doing. They've been wanting to focus on acne. We've been doing that. Here's the protocol that we're doing, right? But when you want to really emphasize that you're creating something even bigger and change and really impactful and show those results and show how you stretched yourself differently in the industry to work with a client to create that impactful case study, it's choosing the one in that you can say they aren't doing anything for their skin. They're using bar soap. They've had one facial in their life. Here's all these things that they're doing outside of here. They don't have a routine. They don't even know what it means to exfoliate. And so you're starting with them at this very clean slate baseline to really show that not only did you hopefully achieve results, but how did you help transform the process for what they're doing and really create more impact within your case study? Because now you can go and say, well, they only used bar soap. They've had one facial in their life and they're 52 years old and they want to work on age management. And here's what we're going to do. And here's how we're going to approach it. And so therefore, there's a lot more weight to that. The judges want to see what you did, not the continuation of prior results. And so that's all part of it. It's showing how did you take someone who maybe has psoriasis on their whole body and they've never been able to do anything about it, and you just really created a whole transformation and how you speak about it, how you write about it, and the pictures that they see. And remember that also when doing this, we want to see the results and the change in the skin, but the judges are not, and I can say this from, I don't know how many case studies I've done at this point, so many. Um, they are looking at what is the picture, that before and after, but the big part of what they're judging on is your write-up, your case study write-up, and what you're talking about in your video, sharing about what are you doing that is so different from the beginning through the end. How are you progressing that? And where did they start from here? And where did you get them to here? So the before and after pictures are huge, but really that clean baseline to something higher level for them is really impactful for a strong case study. So to emphasize more on this, with what makes the case study the one. First point, don't reuse. If you can, try to avoid. I know sometimes people do this, but if you can try to avoid it, don't reuse the same client across categories at the exact same time. So that means you're like, I'm going to do this client for holistic and acne, same exact time, 8 weeks. I'm just going to duplicate the process. You want to avoid using the same client in the multiple case studies within that same 8-week period, because judges are often overlapping in these categories, and they're going to notice repetition that your case study video and write-up looks the exact same, because how can you really do much changing to that? There wasn't a lot that you did anything different because it was happening at the same time. It's going to be the exact same thing. And so if you're going to use the same client, maybe it's you use client, let's say Sandy, for 8 weeks for acne, and now a separate 8 weeks, if you are going to be reusing that client, an additional 8 weeks is now focused on pigmentation if she's your pigmentation client too. But don't merge them together at the same time, because what you should be doing in that is going to be very different. And if you're basically copy pasting, it's going to be noticed, it's going to be obvious. You have a lot more room for error and slip up that you didn't change something. And if a judge reads that says pigmentation, but that's an acne, what's going on here? How much work did you truly put into that? Or how much were you trying to just ease and bypass? So copy and pasting or barely tweaking the story weakens your entries and your credibility. And then it also muddies your ability to clearly differentiate treatment protocols to really show what you're trying to do in your up to 10-page write-up. What did you do to create these results and these shifts for the client skin? So I really do like to emphasize that, because I noticed that is a pretty common thing, is reusing one client for multiple case studies, like, 3, sometimes or so or two, whatever, and just trying to pin them in different places to make it easier. But that is not as successful as really showing up for yourself and for your client to do each step. So if you need to turn them into a 16 week, do it, but don't try to do multiple in 8. Number 2 is evaluate the root cause. So this is a really impactful way for you to go even deeper to have a completely unique client. Really asking questions like what's going on with your stress, your hormones, diet, any mental health? Do you have any gut conditions? What about medications? Is there any autoimmune diseases that you have? Because if you have the knowledge and some of the education, or you're willing to put in the research and apply that with what you do in treatment protocols and products, you can really look at what's the root cause of what actually might be going on and how can I try to help shift and support and make a transformation for that? Because when you can talk about that within your write-ups or even in your videos about there's so much more happening here that I'm trying to look at this as a full systemic kind of situation and through that larger lens for the client's transformation, that really speaks loudly, I believe, for judges to show that it wasn't just, well, she has lines and she's aging and she wanted to soften them because she hasn't really ever been on a routine. So we're going to do our best to try to transform that. Like, what else is happening there, though? Was she like a sun lover for so many years and she used to be a smoker and she quit and she had tons of maybe mental health stuff that she's willing to, you know what I mean? Like what was happening and how are you helping to make the shifts there? And so really diving into that, um, and considering what contributed to those conditions in the first place for their skin. This really, like I said, helps create a more effective, holistic, and judge resonating protocol because you can dive a little bit deeper into why this client is so unique that you are going to create a change for them. And there's a lot more of a look at these cases as, again, like I said, it's not just about the before and after. When you pick a client, you are looking at everything, the emotional impact, the physical impact, all of it, and how you communicate and represent that in your cases goes a really long way. Also, number 3, the commitment check. So is this client going to follow through on the weekly in-clinic treatments? You really have to have that check-in with them. Can you show up for these? This is going to be what we have to do. And maybe you have 2 visits a week because you can do that if you need to, but you got to document all of this. If you're seeing them twice a week, document it. But can they follow through on that weekly in-clinic treatment, or is they want to do this, but they're like, well, I might not be able to make every week. No, you want someone who is committed to this. Are they ready to commit to daily home care routines exactly as directed? Believe it or not, with a lot of people, if you are really going to a first-time client who doesn't have a lot of skincare background experience, treatment experience, it is a huge transition to shift, as many of you have experienced with your new clients when they went from using, I don't know, CeraVe and bar soap on their face, right? And so suddenly they're going, I have to wash my face. I have to do this how many times a week? I've got to put serums on every day. Wait, morning and night? Wait, what about SPF? Like it's a huge transition for them. So really make sure, sit down with them, be willing to sit for 2 hours and go, this is the daily home care routine that you would be doing. This is how that looks. Like, can you do this? How can I support you in this? Because you spending that hour or 2 hours really walking through, holding their hand through that can make a huge impact for the results that you get with your case study. But if you don't do that and you're uncertain and they're uncertain, you have a lot higher risk that you're not going to have the results you want from the, treatments and the before and after pictures because they aren't doing the work at home. And that is a huge part of your case study results. Will they stop using outside products if needed and adapt to your regimen 100%? So are they going to be willing if you say, I really am trying to see though how these products are interacting with what we're doing through the treatment. And I want to make sure that there's nothing that interferes that, nothing that confuses it. So we have truly clear, like, this is what I'm using on you. Can you stop using blank? And if they're like, no, I'm not going to stop using that, you have to decide what does or doesn't work for you. And you might have to include that in your case study. In fact, talk about it. If they aren't willing to stop doing something, you can be honest about that in your case study and the case study notes at the end or the conclusion for each week. I'm really struggling with my client because they're committed to doing this and I can't get them to stop doing this one thing, or they really want to use this, which is hard and frustrating for me, but I'm working with them and trying to communicate with them on the impacts or the whys behind what I want them to do. And so actually being honest in your case studies, whether it's in the video or the conclusion in the write-up, per week, client notes, it's okay to actually have that kind of transparency because you're being honest about the true challenges of working with a client while you're trying to create change for them. Let's see. Are they open to internal support like supplements or herbal protocols if applicable? So if you have the knowledge, education, the um, experience, or you're allowed to versus not, and you can incorporate some of that internal direction, because if you're looking at the root cause and you have an herb or a supplement that you can have them work with, amazing. Are they willing to do that? Fantastic. That's going to help elevate your results even more. And be sure to talk about that because even if you end up saying, I want them to use, I don't know, reishi or this adaptogenic, whatever it is, right? But you need maybe a acupuncturist to prescribe something. Talk about that. Say, I want them to be on this. This is what I'm prescribing for them. So and so is going to help me make that happen. Whatever. So, um, but that's a great way to really tie in all the parts for your case study client. And then the fourth one, are they camera ready and soul ready? So you want a client who's going to be comfortable with photos and video documentation because that is a huge part of what you're doing with your case studies. You want them to be willing to be vulnerable and share their experience authentically because in your videos, it really does have an impact to hear that for the judges to hear your client speak about what they're feeling, why they're here. Maybe after a treatment that was a little intense, maybe you did microchanneling and you want to ask them, how did you feel after that? What was that like for you? What did you see? Because when you interview, you'll notice when you ask them at certain transformational points, they can really light up. They can be expressive in ways that you didn't expect and show an emotional impact that is part of what you're doing. Because what you do isn't just the skin, it's also the emotional component that comes with them, because that's also what creates the transformation. That's where you start to see more brightness in them too. So, so with that, more of the, are they camera ready and being vulnerable? Ask them even in some of the videos, or ask them beforehand. This is before when you're selecting them. Why do you want to be a part of this? Because what they answer is going to really reveal what their motivation and their alignment is for working with you, and also like their long-term commitment and success to how this is all going to come together. Because you can definitely have people who go, well, I just want to it would just be nice to feel like my skin's plumper. But like you want someone who shows you and tells you that there's something bigger and deeper for why they want this, because they are going to have so much more buy-in. Because remember, when you're doing something like this, probably what most of us are doing is it's free service. We're not charging the client. Well, I wasn't. Most people don't end up charging the client for the service or for the products that you're sending them home with, because you're like, you got to use all of this. It's kind of hard to expect someone when they're your model to pay for everything. So when they are truly like invested in it and you hear that in their answer, that shows you they've got buy-in, I've got buy-in. We're going to be a team going on this journey together, and we are side by side doing this, and this is going to rock. This case study will rock. So let's see. Next. Okay, red flags to watch out for. So this again is, are they already receiving treatments from you? This could skew the before and after potential. So ideally, if you really are set on having an existing client, then do it. But I believe that your results will be much more impactful if you start with someone from scratch that you can end with a new level of results for them. If they have inconsistent communication, they're late a lot, or they reschedule appointments. If you're noticing that right from the beginning, because you want to pre-book out all your appointments, are they willing to pre-book out 8 weeks of appointments? If there's a lot of this like inconsistency with them, that could be concerning. And if they are going to be late, I would encourage you all to have a client contract when you go into this and let them know there will be a charge if you do not show up for your appointment, because this is a huge thing for you that you are trying to achieve with these case studies. If they do not show up, they will be charged 100% of that service that you are going to do. Um, and you can also build into there something about product cost if you need to as well, depending on what you're doing with that. But ideally, you get that commitment beforehand. So watch for that inconsistency. If, and again, it also ties to if they have the yes energy in person, but they're not really responding to your email or text when it's these cases and you really got to dive into it, that might be a sign to you that this person is not going to be the one who you want, because you want to have a lot of consistent communication with that client through your 8 weeks that you're working together. And then if they're resistant to change or they're highly attached to their current product or routines, again, could be a conflict for what you're trying to achieve and the results that you want to create and the approach of what you're going to be talking about, videoing about, all of that. Um, if they're interested in mostly the free services and they're not invested in the transformation, that goes back to the last question that we asked about the client that's the one. What is their answer for why they want to do this with you? And then if they're not comfortable with being photographed or filmed, this could limit your storytelling. And I will say, though, I did have a client, and you'll see a photo of her where she actually was not comfortable talking, or we wore glasses for her pictures, big blocky ones, and she was not comfortable with speaking because of the reason for why she was working with me. She didn't, it was so traumatic for her what she had gone through, and she didn't want to take a chance that anyone would recognize her or anything. And so we worked on how to create our videos without her speaking, but also having her present. And then I really was honest and talked about that through my case study write-ups about her comfort level, why she won't be speaking. And I clarified that in case study one. I clarified it in week one. I clarified it in any weeks that she might have been in the video. And then I talked about it again at the end, so that the judges would know, like, there is reason that she's not speaking, but yet she's trying her best to be present, because you need someone who will do before and after pictures, and they do have to be in the videos. It's part of the rules with the videos. Okay, so this is that client I was talking to you about. This is the real client example. So as one of them, I have many fantastic clients. This is just one that I'm gonna use. Um, so she, for example, has had zero hair growth in 3 years, 3.5 years, after she had gone through a cancer treatment, started to get her hair all grew back, then it all fell out all of a sudden. And she did almost a year of steroid injections on her scalp. She did internal stuff. She worked with an acupuncturist. I mean, I can't even remember everything that she had tried for 3 years, zero hair growth. Nothing was working. She continued to go more and more bald. And she had over, I would say 50% of her hair was gone. And this was someone who, when you're looking at your case study clients, now you're not all going to be doing an open or open medical category. You might be doing acne, pigmentation, aging, holistic, compromised skin, which I did all of those as well. But this falls into the same thing for all of them. What makes them a strong partner? It's not just the results, but it's their energy and the commitment and the growth. So she, for example, which any one of your clients, if how you're picking them, can have something where when she came in the beginning, she could hard she didn't smile. She looked down a lot. She didn't really like to talk. It took a lot to get stuff out of her. She never went without her wig. I had clients, the skin ones, that never came in without makeup on, felt very like shut in. And the comfort and the communication and that commitment to grow together was really how we transformed their energy and created even deeper results. So, that's, really strong partner to have in this. And you really want, like I said before, and I'll emphasize it again, how it aligns with your criteria, that fresh start client. They have the full buy-in so that you can get the transformation. And then as a result, there's an emotional openness that happens that you also get to include and talk about in your case study, videos, and write-up about what happened for the whole being of that client. And so include all of that. You don't just have to say their acne got better. No, what happened? They started pooping. Oh my gosh, she went from one bowel movement a week to four bowel movements a week. Her skin started clearing up. Her pigmentation was lightening. She started sleeping better. She said that she stopped wearing makeup every day when she went out. Like, talk about all of those things because that makes an impactful case study because you're going beyond just the surface. And then reaffirm how the right client amplifies your expertise and really talk about, what you learned as an esthetician, how this stretched you beyond and out of your comfort zone, and what you gained from this yourself, because that is all part of it too. Why did you do this? And what did you learn from it? And how do you feel like you're an even uh, more elevated esthetician? So let's see. Oops. Oh my gosh, you don't need to see all those things. Okay. I don't know if you just lost my screen or not, but it disappeared for me. Okay. So final tips and my client selection flow. So create a case study application form. If you don't have one, I have created something I will send out to you guys or I'll give to Taylor because you really want that that case study time when you're like trying to pick your client. It's an interview. You want to make sure all the parts are there because this is, like I said, a co-creator. It's not a passive subject.
Have to
And
be
then when you
seen here.
Oh, and then when you have them in, when they are your client, give yourself a 2 hour intake treatment with them. It doesn't even have to be your first week one. That can be your intake where you're learning everything. I mean, I have written with my initial intake before do their week one. I have like 5 to 10 pages that I just from all the questions I was asking them and just documented everything they said so I could really dive in like, what am I working on with this client and how do I transform them over this 8 weeks? And how do I morph the treatment that I do so it's not the exact same thing week after week, but how do I do it safely and start at the right point? Um, okay, what happens if you're not happy with your results? Or there were hiccups through the process and they got injured and they were out, or they were super sick and they were out for 2 weeks. So you can, if you're really not happy with his results and you feel like just I really wanted this to be a good case study and this does not feel like a case study that I can stand behind, that I feel like I'll do good in. You know what? If you have time, it's okay to start it over. And even better, if you do start it over, talk about that. Talk about that in your case study. Don't just pretend like week one, never did anything before. Talk about, this is our week one. We actually had gotten up to week 7 or 8 or 4 or whatever it was. And due to whatever reason, we realized I needed to do something different. I need to step out of the box more, or this was happening, or she had a family death and it didn't feel right to go from this point. So we started over. And this is where we are at, and this is what we hope to achieve. And so talk about that because that shows you as an esthetician, your flexibility, the moldability, all those parts, and the transparency in that. And I think that actually is really important because often nothing goes perfectly as we plan. And so, how do you, as an esthetician, kind of, find your little tweaks and I'm blanking on the word, but you like improvise. Like, what do you do? How do you do something different when something doesn't work how you wanted? And then also, so this is an energetic agreement. Your clients should energize you. They should not drain you. You should be excited every single week that you're going to be checking in with them and seeing them. And it's someone that you'll spend weeks working with intimately, so you really want to choose wisely. Again, they energize you. You're all on board together, not thinking, "Oh, I got to do my case studies tonight. I didn't want to see this client. I'd rather go to the movies with my friends." That's probably not the right client if that's how you feel from the beginning. Um, and then you're not just building a case study, you're building trust. So remember that this is a person and that emotional connection is really big because when trust and the commitment are aligned, the results will come with much more ease for you. And then always select with intention and not emotion. And I know I talk a lot about emotion and the emotional component is important, but remember you're doing these case studies because you are wanting to grow yourself, to challenge yourself, and potentially get first, second, or third in a category and maybe Esthetician of the Year. So you really want to be intentional, not only emotional with who you're choosing. And then that's all I got. And so thank you. I would love to have any questions that you guys have. I will check if there's anything in the chat. Let me go to stop sharing. And you can also message me on Instagram. And here we are. I'm just shut that down. And so thank you guys.
So we have quite a few messages in the chat.
Okay. Let's see. So yes, Keisha, you'll get let in again. I know that's not the question to, okay, let's see. Gwen, I noticed that you had really good models for each case study. How were you able to convince them to participate? Okay, so um, because I interviewed them, because I sat down and what I did was I put out in my email, I did an email campaign, I did social media, and I said, hey guys, this is what I'm doing, and I'm looking for models for my case studies. And then I created a Google form, and anyone who was interested in had to fill out the Google form and answer my questions of why they wanted to be considered, why they were interested. And then I actually got on a phone call or met them in person and I talked to them even more to really understand what it was and how was I going to be working with them. Because again, I wanted all my clients to have some kind of challenge and difficulty for me. So every single one of my clients I had one that had gastroenteritis and oh my God, I just said that really wrong. Hashimoto's, as well as what else? She had PCOS as well. I had another client who had diabetes and was going through her cancer journey. I had another client who um, was covered in psoriasis, and there was causes behind what happened for why she had psoriasis. And so how I ended up having those really good models was I really dug in with my questions and with meeting them, and I let them know I will get back to you. I will let you know if you'll be my model. Thank you so much for your time. And, but I went through everything, and that's how I picked. I didn't just be like, oh, she's really nice and we like each other. It was like, no, I am here to challenge and grow myself. And I also really want the hard work and the results to turn into Esthetician of the Year if I can. And so I'm going to push myself to another extreme. All my case study write-ups were over 10 pages, 17 usually. And I then had to like cut out so much and minimize. So if you have a case study write-up and it's only like 3 pages, really check in with yourself. Like, what was missing there? Document everything you're doing. What is the products you're using? Go into detail with the ingredients and why those ingredients. Don't talk about the product itself, but the ingredients in the product and what you're trying to achieve within your case study per week and any challenges, things that came up in it. And that's how you also, so how did I convince them to participate? Because I showed them that I cared and I wanted to help make a change for them. We went through the interview process. They saw how committed I was because of the interview process. And I showed them that I believed in it. And if they were on board with me, that I was determined to create something impactful for them. And they were right in with me. Let's see. Do I think having sponsors helped? Yes and no. I think that it helped me financially in a way, to be honest, because I was doing everything out of my own pocket. And my first year did five case studies, I think. And when I totaled everything between product and time of my treatments, it was like 15,000 or more dollars, and even more the next year. And what I found was by having sponsors who aligned with my values and beliefs that I worked with, I was able to provide more for my clients and therefore dive in on a deeper level with my clients and what we were trying to achieve. So I gave that all as well before I had sponsors, but it helped me to go to another level with what I was able to do with my clients that I wasn't able to do before. And so in that sense, I think reach out for sponsors. Like, you're here doing this for a reason and you're investing this time. See if someone will sponsor you. but only work with someone if it truly aligns with your values and your beliefs and your approach in skin. Because if it doesn't, that's going to be viewed and felt and seen all across the board that you're just doing it because you wanted someone to cover your costs. Like there has to be more to it. Um, did any of your clients become non-compliant later on in the, yes, yes. My first and second year, I had one client in each of those who basically were not compliant. It was horrible. My case study results were not great from my videos to the before and after to the write-ups. It was really challenging. And I also did not place in those cases. I did not get a first, second, or third. I mean, I made it to top 10, but those I had two specifically that were really hard. And I didn't place because they weren't compliant. And I was trying to communicate that and the challenges, but ultimately, like, I wasn't I wasn't getting what I needed to do. So that's why the compliance is so important. And if they aren't being compliant, you guys, and you're 4 weeks in, find someone new. Say, you know what, this isn't working. I realize we're not going to be able to continue this, but thank you so much. Get someone new who will truly be bought in with you.
Mm.
It's me 17 to 20 pages, then okay, ooh, let's see then. You're the sponsor has to align. Yes, okay. I realize my videos aren't as great at this cutting off. I can't see. Let me see if I can make this. Okay, there we go. I realize my videos aren't as great as I'd like it to be during sessions, and it's making me want to redo it. It's my biggest challenge. My pictures are okay. What would you redo? Okay, so this is what I would say. And I did a lot of these videos where I would, in some of my treatments, I would have my ring light set up and my phone on it, and I would video different parts of my treatment, but I didn't use my week video as whatever I just filmed in that moment. I then took that week's video, the week's recordings that I did in that treatment, and then I went and I made my video like I'm standing here. I'm Jennalee on week 7 of the age management category. And this week we did, and I talk about what I'm doing in it. And then I just laid over those clips to show it. That was what I did because it's really hard while you're in the treatment to record this perfect video. And so if you're struggling with that, like get creative with how you do your video or if you're camera shy or whatever, like you can get creative with how you can just then like cut the clips and do a voiceover or have you right here and then right here is showing the treatment or maybe it's all the treatment but you're just talking from behind about it where then you can feel more confident talking, not just like I'm staring at the camera, hi, so we're on week 8 and I'm trying to do this treatment and this products and I this salad, oh my God, it wasn't salicylic. I mean lactic acid, and then you're like, how do I cut all that out? So get creative. Use Canva. There's things like CapCut. Although what I don't recommend is don't clear it from your computer and delete it once you've sent it off to Jennifer and the Skin Games. Because if any errors happen and they don't get it, it's all gone. It's gone. And you might have to rebuild them. Or you have to figure out how to recover deleted files that are deleted. So careful with CapCut. But the iMovie is great. I think, yeah, Canva, you can do it. It's pretty easy. You do not have to have perfectly edited videographer skill level. You will not be judged by a judge on um, I don't know what the word is, but your film, like you didn't go to film school. That's not what you're being judged on. So, just be gentle with yourself. I had a non-compliant one last year. Okay, let's see. Voiceover is better. Oh, you're welcome, Nikki. Be sure to reference the requirements for video submissions. Yes, thank you, Kelly. Oh, and this year they're updated. You guys, I cannot tell you how important this is. Look at the rules especially for what you're going to do for your case studies. Look at the case study write-up template. Look at the video weekly, what you have to have. You have to have an introduction one. You have to have, maybe you're talking about, you have to do 1 or 2 videos that talk about the product ingredients well, not product, but the ingredients that you're using or the treatment protocols. Like make sure that you have followed what the rules say. And if it says a 2-minute video, you do a 2-minute video. You don't do a 2-minute and 20-second video. all of that you're judged on. Did you follow the rules? So follow the rules to a T. If it says 10 pages, don't submit 12. Um, okay, let's see. And she updated them. So if you are a prior competitor, don't go off of your prior experience for how it lays out. Go look at the rules again. And I referenced them literally every time I was working on my case studies. Each week I would be like, okay, wait, what was this? Okay, wait, that week is okay, good, I got it. And so I always checked it. Don't just reference it once. Um, Portal Drive, separate class, okay, production. I don't know what that means, but maybe that's the app she used to edit. Okay. Okay. So any other questions? Feel free to, I don't know if you can raise your hand or you can speak up. I want to be mindful of time because I also know that at 5 o'clock, Acne Maddie is going to be doing an Instagram live with the Skin Games. So if you're available, go check that out. Um, if this is recording, don't go check that out. It's probably already happened, but it might be on Instagram. Okay, so any questions? And if I answered everything for you, amazing.
Let's give people a second. This is incredible information.
Thank you.
Yes. So I heard that you say that you don't really charge your clients. I've done a couple different things, and I think the contract what was most effective. Do you think like even charging like a some price for the case studies or for the home care is okay, or do you think it's the best, just kind of a trade-off? You're expecting them to do all the work, so you do complimentary services and home care.
I, well, I personally feel that if I am asking you to buy into what I'm trying to do, and you weren't going to come in, you weren't intending as a client, I don't know if you could afford it or if you couldn't. I'm not going to make any assumptions about what you could or can't, what you can or cannot afford. But I'm the one who's asking you, I need you to do me a favor. I think you could be the perfect person for me to do this case study and maybe win a category and maybe win Esthetician of the Year, but you're gonna have to do like this treatment that's probably gonna total about $500 per visit. And I also need you to use all of these products, and that's probably like $2,000 worth of product. I mean, I don't know, I'm just throwing out numbers. And so to expect them to be like, sure, I'll pay you like $10,000 for 8 weeks, like they might not have. So I just feel that saying I'm doing this, I'm using you or working with you because I'm trying to get some like achieve something for myself and grow myself. I don't feel right about asking for that. What I do feel okay about though is having a contract that they sign and they give you their credit card and you can put a deposit. You can put
Mm.
a have a $500 deposit if or $1,000 deposit. If for some reason you're having to cancel, you back out, whatever, you will lose a deposit. That goes to me because I invested in this time and all the products I gave to you. If once you're completed with the case studies and they followed through with everything and it's done, you get your deposit back. You could do that if you really feel that you need to. But I don't believe in charging them because I'm asking them to do this for me. They weren't necessarily coming expecting to drop thousands of dollars.
Okay, and sometimes there's like in the new esthetician category or just people that are signing up to reestablish themselves in the industry and they don't necessarily have an established business to pull models from. I see sometimes people get family members or boyfriends or significant others, or, it's a little more challenging because there's not necessarily the
Clientele.
clientele or the history, or they've never attempted something like this.
Right.
So what do you recommend for those types of individuals?
Well,
Are they
that's perfect if they don't have a clientele because they shouldn't be using their existing clientele. So that's where they go to ask their friends and family, ask Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever you're on, like, hey, I'm doing this and I'm looking for a model. If you're interested or you know someone that you think would be great, please put me in contact with them. Or if you're interested, let me know, DM me, email me, whatever, and I will send you my form, my application form. And so put it out there. Hey, mom, Uncle Bill, like anyone, do you know anyone that you think could be great for this? This is what I'm doing. And so just ask people because essentially they're not your regular clients anyway. None of my clients I got from being in my client list already. They were all new, almost all of them, except for like my mom did it, right? Well, she wasn't even really a client 'cause she wasn't doing treatments before, but they essentially are new people. Or if you do have an existing client base that you want to go off of, like I said, send an email campaign out. I'm looking for blank. Do you know someone? And so that's what I would do.
Okay. How does
The cutoff,
someone get access to your application form?
oh, I will send that to you.
Yes.
It's the
If you
easiest way
need
to do.
it, email me, taylor@theskingames.com, or enter your email into the chat. And once I get it, I will send it out. Taylor at
Or I guess,
theskingames.com.
is that the best way? Probably just so I'm not trying to sort through and you can just have that, like, here's the template to use. I get, or I guess Taylor, tell me, is that the best way to do it?
Sure. I mean, if that takes the work out for you, but if you want them to Instagram you or follow you on Instagram, that's always nice too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely feel free to reach out to me. You guys can, but I'll send it to her just in case. It's for whatever is easier for anybody. And if you have questions, reach out to me too. Um, Somebody did ask about the cutoff. The cutoff is that you have 8 weeks, and the deadline to submit is June 15th or somewhere around there. I don't know the exact
January.
date. Yeah, I mean, oh my God, I don't know where I am. Sorry, January 15th, usually. So you have 8 weeks. The cutoff is, can you fit it? Are you starting someone so you can be done before the deadline? That's what I would say. But I will speak from past experience. I often start all of my case studies pretty much at the same time, at the very end, because I'm so busy between business and being a single mom, all these things. These are all excuses. I do not recommend waiting until the last like 3 months or somewhere around there to try to do your case studies if you're doing like 7 of them at
Mm.
the same time while seeing your full 3 month booked out client base and trying to do work and take care of your family. It's a death trap. Don't
And
do
it's
it.
typically around Christmas,
Mhm.
Halloween, Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
New Year's. And so it's harder to have a compliant model during those times. And then you have people not maybe eating the best or not wanting, not as regimented and disciplined as well. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah. So the sooner you can start, especially if hiccups happen, the better. But just remember the deadline is the deadline. You can't submit it in February because we're already judging, or they're already judging the cases at that point. Um, let's see. I would a copy of your, yes, great. Application will go out. I'm actually using myself. I did too. And I didn't think it was going to be okay for me to use my own self, and I didn't for all my years. And then this past year, I did because I had a story too, and I had an experience as well, and I had begun neglecting myself because of health matters and conditions and all kinds of different things. And I ended up using myself as a model. And I had incredible results. And I got to remember who I was as a person too, just like I'm trying to do for my clients. So not only did I get to be an esthetician and like do my magic, I got to experience the magic for myself and I got to reconnect to myself. And that was a beautiful gift. And so if it's an appropriate category and you can speak to why you're using yourself as the model, amazing. If you're just doing it because you can't find someone, that's going to be a harder case to represent. Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can still use yourself. Kelly, is that accurate? Can you still use yourself if you needed to, or if you are, or Taylor? I'm gonna go with it's a yes. They didn't answer, but
I
uh,
don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer. I don't see Kelly here. She might have got booted.
she was on. But so I asked last year because I had a lot happening in my life medically and emotionally and all this different stuff. going happening. And I saw a huge shift in my skin, and I wasn't taking care of myself, partially because of medical stuff. I'm not going to go into my whole story, but and so I was like, I'm actually the perfect case study client for this category. Why not use myself? And so I checked in and I used myself, and I guess other people have before. And so I believe that it's acceptable. But contact Kelly if you have any concern or question about it. Just reach out to Kelly. She's the director of judges, and she can give you the absolute answer to that. Okay. Anything else?
Well, this has been incredible and very, very informative. I see another question pop up.
Did working on yourself as a case study help you with your other clients, like giving more perspective on? I would say yeah, because I put myself, well, I got to see myself from a different lens and angle. And while I work with my clients with different factors, maybe that they might be going similar to me, or different skin conditions that were similar, to actually be the esthetician and remove myself and then be living as the experience, it gave me a new perspective. And actually, as a result, with working on myself that way, doing these case studies, and even winning Esthetician of the Year, it completely has changed my business. And I reevaluating what our approach is within my business from this experience with on my own self, with all my case studies, and winning Esthetician of the Year. And I'm actually now going through a complete overhaul, redo, rebrand, like a new business for Yoso, because of what I have gained from doing the skin games and these case studies.
Awesome. Well, this has honestly been incredible. If you ever want to do another one of these, we would love to have you. We will wrap up. We have about 7 minutes until Steven and Maddie, an influencer, Acne Maddie, is going live on Instagram. We'd love to see you there. And if you are rewatching it, you can see the replay. It's always pinned up or recorded and saved onto the Instagram as well. All right. Any closing words?
Just believe in yourself, you guys. Don't worry about if you're having imposter syndrome, because we all do it and we all worry and question and doubt ourselves. Are you good enough? Do you know enough? Are you experienced enough? Don't listen to any of that noise, because that noise is just a distraction from what you're truly capable of. So remember, you got into this industry for a reason. You're here doing these case studies for a reason, and show yourself what you're capable of. Because if you're here, you probably are capable of a lot more than you realize. You just have to believe it.
I
And
love
that's all I
that.
have. I'll see you in Dallas.
See you in Dallas.
All right, you guys. Bye. Let's see. Let's stop the recording.